welcome to We Did a Podcast 24.
24!
Thank you.
That's good. Now I don't have to do it in post.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah,
perfect.
it's very
And it's
convenient.
been one whole podcast since Batman was dethroned.
Yeah, this is actually
Really
the very
only
next
one.
one.
It seems like so long. I
It's
love
actually
the new reign.
been almost 2 months since we've recorded a We Did a Podcast.
That's why. It
I'm
feels
not
like
sorry.
it's so
I don't
long.
know how it happened. We got tied up in character limit exceeded for a
Yeah.
while, and we were just pumping those out.
We're just really excited about it.
Yeah.
We're hoping you enjoy it.
Yeah.
Pretty tight. You should watch it.
Yeah, please. So we got David here. We got Frank over here. We got Danny
Danny the
Targaryen.
Bean.
Daenerys,
Dan Aris.
Danny
Stormborn, the unburnt
The silver
mother of dragons.
Today we have a Game of Thrones podcast for you because we're all stoked about it, and we
Game
thought
of Stoked.
Sing it
do
with
it.
me.
Oh, I was going for the low note. Wow. Okay, so
Are we going to get
before everyone, no, people just click away.
You're like, wow, actually, you had me for a second there.
So we hope you're excited for Game of Thrones. I feel like I shouldn't have to say this, but spoilers, just
Yes.
full. There, nothing will be saved.
We will be going over the entire series.
Yeah.
So
This
far.
episode will be
Yeah.
quite thick with spoilers.
Yes.
If you're not
Indeed.
trying to get down with the thickness, please leave.
Wow, that was really good.
Thanks,
Wow.
guys.
I was hoping in post prod down
There we go.
with the thickness.
Wow.
Yeah, obviously,
You know what I
it's
mean?
thickness.
Oh yeah, I assume that too.
The thick. All right.
Well, before we get into Game of Thrones, it's time for. Oh, that's interesting, everybody. We got a story for you today. A story of, well, let's not beat around the bush, of sex cults. That's what's going on.
My favorite kind of story.
I
You're
have
talking
brought-
about sex cults. There's just get to the point.
Yeah,
you know?
right?
And there's so much. I mean, what really delineates between cult and sex cult?
I feel like all cults have to have some kind of power
Sexual
around.
nature.
Most of
Yeah.
them, really.
Yeah, most of them do.
But I think the thing that delineates it as a sex cult is that's like the mainstay. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
not just some cult leaders. It's always about the sex. You know what I mean? It's like a dude learning how to play guitar.
Okay,
You know?
interesting.
Yeah.
Which inherently is for sex purposes.
Yeah, see, but
Yeah.
some cult leaders, they manage to keep it on the side, keep like pulling the veil over everybody's
Yeah.
face. Like, no, this is really about like Harry Carey. This is about the end times.
Was-
But also, I'm gonna have sex with all of you. See, when you mess up and you go into sex cult, it's like,
It's too on the nose.
yeah, it's too on the nose. You know?
And if you look at it,
He's just
all the
having all the
primary
sex.
members of a cult are typically good looking. You know what I mean?
I don't know if there's any kind of scientific evidence to back that
maybe
up.
it's just like a thing
think
like
it's a
with
TV
college
thing.
brochures. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not that they're all sexy. It's just that when you see the footage, you're only seeing this sexy cult members.
Was
true.
Jonestown a sex cult? Was the Jonestown massacre a
I
sex
don't
cult?
know, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Heaven's
if
I
there's
Gate?
some
don't
kind of thing.
believe Jonestown was a sex cult, but I do think there was
They definitely had some
accusations
sex.
of some sex.
Yeah,
Well,
that's sex.
The reason why this one in particular, and what we're talking about, is the Smallville actor Allison Mack. She's pleaded guilty to racketeering charges ahead of the Nexium sex cult trial. Is because, in particular, this cult was involved with alleged sex trafficking. So, I mean, I'm sure there's going to be some more, and she hasn't been sentenced yet. That's not going to be until September. So I'm sure some more information about that will come out. But in this case, she was kind of like a higher tiered person in this cult. The cult is Nexium, but it's all spelled with capital letters, and it's Nxivm.
Ooh, they've got the churches thing
Yeah,
going
they
on.
do.
Churches.
Which is hilarious because, like, to think that the cult was probably after churches. You know, I wonder if the cult leader was like, "Oh, I really like that band.
Yeah.
Oh, that's edgy. I like that."
It's like a little bit of a wink and a nod.
Now, wait, David, for dumb people like me,
Yeah.
what is racketeering?
Racketeering. I don't even know if I could give you a definition, to be honest. It's just like one of those
Racketeering
words.
is essentially just, it means that you conspired to commit a crime. It's the way it's a way to prosecute organized crime like a
Okay.
little bit more efficiently, instead of trying to like you can get accused of all the crimes individually, but then like racketeering, just the fact that you conspired together to like commit a
with
crime.
mob activity
And
and,
there's
all
Yeah,
gotta
like
be-
Al Capone.
Got you. So
There's
that's why
gotta
they
be
always
some,
get them.
exchange of money
Al
involved in
Capone
it
was
as well.
tax evasion.
Oh,
Think
or
about
like a
it.
money laundering
Yeah,
kind of
it's
thing.
kind of, there's like money involved in it too,
Got
in
you.
like the big crime aspect of it.
money-making crime.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
best kind of crime.
So,
The most profitable.
Allison Mack is best known for being on Smallville. She was Chloe, I think her name was. She's like one of Clark Kent's friends. He had a couple friends. I really don't remember the show all that well.
Do you
I
think
never
the
watched it.
CW
Long
will
time.
hire her again?
No, if anything, they've probably just like digitally removed her from all the episodes, which will get really confusing in later seasons because I think she was there the whole time. She was initially charged with sex trafficking, conspiracy to commit sex trafficking, and forced labor, reversed her initial not guilty plea, and admitted to 1 count of racketeering conspiracy and 1 count of racketeering.
Yikes.
She says, I've come to the conclusion that I must take full responsibility for my conduct, and that's what I'm pleading guilty today. And that's why I'm pleading guilty today. I'm very sorry for the victims of this case. I'm very sorry for who I've hurt through my misguided adherence to Keith Rainier's teachings. And he was like a self-help guru. He's just like the classic cult leader.
And he
you know
was
what I mean?
helping
That is a
himself.
cult leader,
Yeah, he was helping himself. In particular, in this... Oh, here we go. It does have it in this article. Rainier allegedly created the self-help organization, NXIVM, and then manipulated women into master-slave relationships. The women were also allegedly made to follow strict diets and to endure, that's terrible, to endure a branding ceremony in which his initials were burned into their skin with a cauterizing
my
pen.
goodness.
Ooh, not so nice.
Wow.
And you know what? This part isn't in this article, but what they go on to say is that when you're in the group, you have like 2 roles, either like the slave or the master. And if you are brought into it, you won't become a master until you can bring in your own slave. So there's like this weird like hierarchy.
And a
power
recruiting
thing.
incentive.
Exactly, right?
Pyramid scheme.
Um,
Get 2 buddies. You know
Pyramid
what I mean?
sex cult.
Pyramid sex cult. This guy was taking it to the next
Huh.
level.
here's her, and this is yesterday, which was April 8th. Oops. On Monday, Mack admitted to her involvement with DOS. DOS is a secret group within NXIVM. She was the second in command in this group, and so this was like the high tier thing. I don't even understand.
She's like the Tom Cruise of this cult.
Yeah.
Huh.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At first I thought you were talking about Eyes Wide Shut, and then I was like, oh, wait, no, he's actually in a cult.
He's actually in a cult.
Yeah.
Big one.
She says that she had a slave and that she instructed women to perform services for me by threatening that they could face serious harm. According to the Post, Mack said the women had handed over damaging personal information such as nude photos and financial details as collateral. So they were just kind of like wrapping these people up.
Wow.
What? That's quite a sticky wicket, I believe,
Yeah.
is what the kids are calling it.
She finally closes by saying, through it all, I believe that Rainier's intention was to help people. I was wrong. Obviously.
It doesn't sound
super
very
obviously.
helpful.
So the trial's set for later this month for Rainier's trial, the head guy. And she's scheduled to be sentenced September 11th. Her lawyer did not immediately respond to a request for comment. This was from BuzzFeed, the most
The reliable.
reputable of news sources. Right next
The least biased.
right next to us.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Do you guys have any thoughts about this thing? I mean,
Well, I just don't see why people start cults when you know that it just ends up badly every time.
Yeah.
You're gonna get caught.
I guess they think they're gonna. Maybe Scientology kind of like made too many people like too excited. Like,
They're a
they
shining
do it.
example. They're still doing it.
I mean,
in broad
L. Ron
daylight.
Hubbard pulled it off. I can figure it out.
Yeah.
Something just about that personality type. It's not the same type of person to think about it and go, well, all these other ones didn't end up so well. Am I just like all these other guys? No, they're the special one, even like to them. You know what I mean?
Is this like the biggest crash of a B-list celebrity in a long time? I can't think of.
Nah.
I don't
like,
even think
who-
she's B, dude. I think she's like
Okay,
a
like
D-list.
C or something. Yeah.
Like,
like Tom Welling, the guy who played Superman, is probably like a B-list celebrity. Well,
I don't even know who that is.
maybe he would be
Do you?
C now. All these
Yeah.
people are totally like
Wow.
faded out. No one in that show went to do anything else really. That's
It
crazy.
didn't like
Man.
launch anybody's career.
I will say that
No.
that is interesting.
Oh, I appreciate it. All I'm thinking is, she's probably just saying one thing right now. You know what that is, right?
No.
Somebody save me. Sorry.
Good job, David. Well
As soon
done,
as I
man.
read that article, I was like, okay, here's my joke.
Good
I'm
job.
gonna get it in. I'm gonna get it in.
Well done.
Whew.
I
Well,
never watched Smallville because I thought it looked like trash even when I was a kid.
Yeah, it's pretty trash.
Yeah.
I remember.
CW shows just are not my thing.
I remember there being like one episode in the first season with these like slug aliens or something.
I'm sure
Some
Brandon
kind
would
of
know the name of it.
Bug or something. I don't even remember.
Like
now.
the slug aliens from Futurama?
No.
Oh, the ones that are in the egg salad sandwich?
No, I was thinking more of the ones that make
the brain
the
slugs.
slurm.
Oh.
I'm thinking of a different brain.
Oh, there's a bunch of
A lot of
aliens
slugs.
in
A lot of
that
slugs in
Yeah.
Futurama, apparently. That's
Yeah.
what we're learning.
Well, I think we should pass this over to Daniel.
Yeah, why not?
To start this thing off?
Yeah, man. Let's do our... What should we do first? The worst moments or the best moments? I feel like worst.
You want to do worst first?
Yeah, let's end on a high
Worst
note.
is first.
Worst is
Yeah.
first. Okay. So there was actually a surprising amount of least favorite moments I found
Oh, interesting.
in
Okay.
it. Yeah.
And I think, like, as a group, you've been the most critical of the series.
Yeah,
Like,
I kind of have. This is probably my 7th rewatch. However, I'm not the first one in the group.
yeah, I don't think I've
Wow.
heard that number before.
I haven't either.
And I just needed a second to, like,
That's, like, outlandish.
really take it in.
It's to the point now where like I'm having a tough time trying to watch any of them because I'm just like I know what happens in this one, or it's just like I'm trying to pick out specific ones. But like I'm not the first one in this group to watch Game of Thrones. I'm actually the latest to it because you showed me it, and then Frank had actually been watching it before
I
I started
stumbled
watching
upon
it.
it.
Yeah. And I think I started watching it in like the 4th season, and then I saw it at David's house. I went back home and I like binged it. And now I've just been watching a lot. But I've also I'm at Storm of Swords right now in my reading. I'm almost through Storm of Swords. And so it's book 3. So let's just start it off. One of my least favorites in the story, and this is partially because it takes place in Season 5, in which Season 5 kind of like follows Dance with Dragons, the last book in the series. Loosely, they kind of took a lot of like liberties with it, but I just don't like how they handled the whole Arya and Braavos thing with the whole faceless men aspect of it. It's like they had a really good premise, but I think they needed more time to really grow and develop the idea to make it like more impactful. Because my least favorite part of it is when Arya discovers she's gonna go back to being Arya after training with them.
Oh, okay.
And she survives being stabbed multiple times.
Oh, she
by
does
the
get
waif.
very stabbed.
Like stabbed.
I just
Belly
stab.
I just rewatched that episode the other night.
Right?
Yeah.
And she falls into like a poop river and like just
Yeah.
somehow
She has
survives.
a really rough go.
Somehow survives. Like the actress, Lady Crane, who she was going to save, like saves her.
I mean, there's a lot of
Yeah.
people, like main characters even, who like should not be alive.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and you can say it's part of like the prophecy of like, you know, everyone has a role to play in Game of Thrones. And I can understand that, and there's plot armor and blah blah blah. I just feel like it was like cinematic value. But then there's like this whole Bourne Identity chase thing going on with
okay.
her and the wave.
Yeah.
I just think that it was just kind of too far beyond the suspension of disbelief
Interesting.
for
I
me
see
to
what
say,
you're
like,
saying.
you know, like, one, the waif is a better killer than Arya. The waif has been
Okay.
practicing for a long time, and then it's like she's also the mentor. And then there's also these theories that like the waif is also Jack and Hagar and blah blah blah. They don't, you know what I mean? But it's just weird to me that she was able to survive that. I just don't like how they closed up that whole thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, specifically, she defeats her by getting rid of both of their eyesight.
Yeah, which she had practiced. She daredeviled her.
Yeah, she did daredevil her. I think the most unbelievable thing about that scene though is the stabbing.
Yeah.
because it's like pretty vicious.
It's multiple stabbings, and you see her turn the knife too.
Yeah.
And it's like it's ridiculous. Like,
Everyone else in Game of Thrones would have died from that.
yeah, I mean, look at the Red Wedding. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of people died from stabbing in that one.
Although Rob took like 9 arrows.
Yeah,
before he died.
he could have lived. I think like
Yeah,
if he didn't stand up.
maybe though. Who knows?
You know what I mean? Like he looked like he was.
Well, and John took like 3 arrows too, right?
I mean,
John's taking a lot
There's
of
a
arrows.
few dudes in Game of Thrones who can just take like a ridiculous amount of punishment.
Yeah.
I feel like Ned
even
Stark.
even Theon now, just from like dealing with everything. There's that
Yeah.
like the final episode that's out like at this moment in time. Like he gets into a fight with one of his guys,
The Ironborn guy.
and he doesn't like win because of strength. He's just able to take a beating so well from
That's
being like
true.
chugged
I hadn't
around,
even thought
you
about
know what
that.
I mean?
Forgot about
His
that.
Like
resilience.
he's almost dead, and the only reason he wins is because the other guy's like panting and he's just tired
He
from
just comes
beating
back.
the crap out of him. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And he finally just like starts beating this dude to death.
yeah.
Wow.
It's pretty, what is
Just
dead
some
may
of these-
never die.
Yeah, but his dead may never die, man.
Wow, you
That's
got to keep
crazy.
your stamina up.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
some,
that's-
some
I hadn't
guys are
thought
just
about it
real
that
good
way.
at taking a beating, like Charlie Kelly, the toughest guy we know.
That's true. That's true.
Break a chair over his back. What's yours, Frank? Because I feel like I had the first thing anyway.
So my third least favorite moment
There you go.
of Game of Thrones, and I
Wow.
toiled with this one for a little bit because I enjoy this scene and I'm so frustrated with it at the same time that it kind of bounced between my top 3 and bottom 3.
Oh, okay.
But it's the fight scene versus the Viper and the Mountain.
Oh, dude, yes.
Season 4, episode
I was
8.
going to put that on there. I'm glad.
Awesome choreography, like in
Yeah.
the scene. You know what I mean? There's so many. We were just talking about it the other night. Actually, there's a dodge that Oberyn does where he slides backwards. I was telling David every time I watch that episode, I have to rewind just those couple of seconds over and over again because I
Yeah.
just love how smooth it is.
The choreography is amazing.
So good. But at the same time, you have Tyrion's life on the line, who's one of the best characters. So you're already like invested. You're like, you can't kill Tyrion. And this guy wastes his awesome fighting skills. He's got the Mountain bested, and he's just monologuing. He like needs the confession.
That hubris, you know.
And you
what I
feel
mean?
Tyrion's frustration the whole time when he's just looking at him like, come on, dude, just kill him. He's dead. Just stab him in the face. Come on, be done with it. And he gets his head popped open. This like world-renowned fighter just gets slashed onto the ground, and he pops his head like something pops. A balloon?
Yeah, a watermelon.
A watermelon? Yeah, really.
I like love how the music in that scene just totally like there's no music when he's just like monologuing to the crowd.
Yeah.
And then it switches on a dime and then like all of this you just see like everyone's face reaction once his head explodes. Like everyone like Tyrion's just like and Ilaria's sand and like all of them. And then you see Tywin just like smiling the entire time.
Yeah.
It's like
wow, that's really not how I thought that was going to work out.
It's one of those annoying moments where it's like he should know better.
yeah.
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 If he had just stood like 2 feet, if he stood behind that guy's head, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
instead, he like literally got as close as he could.
It's the pride.
He just got, he got too prideful.
And it's the whole thing that's like frustrating about Game of Thrones, and they do it really well. It's like obviously intentional, you know what I mean? But there's so many moments in Game of Thrones where just like the worst people win.
The
you know what I mean?
subversion
Yeah.
of your expectation is the
Yeah.
reason why it's like
Just like the way they rob you of satisfaction is so good.
it really happens all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Yeah, well done. You know what I mean? That's why you keep going back. It's so good.
That's a great moment. I
is a
really
good one.
agree with that.
My bottom third is not necessarily a moment, but a couple characters in particular. What's up?
Wait, so was that your least favorite moment?
That was my
Third
third
least
least
favorite.
favorite.
moment.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Because you
'Cause I
felt
still
robbed
enjoy
from-
it, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
'Cause
okay.
Yeah, it is.
You get that
it is
frustrating
good.
like it's hard to watch because it's so frustrating.
I was
But
gonna
it's,
say that's like
but
one
it's
of
really
my
good.
favorites.
They,
Yeah,
they
that's
do
like
it
an
so
awesome
well.
moment, yeah.
And that's what I was saying. It bounced between my top 3 and bottom 3. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I had to make room. Choices had to be made. It's really like the least ridiculous way I've snuck into a
Yeah, that's
T4,
true.
B3, B2.
Sounds like you're playing Battleship. So mine isn't necessarily one moment, but it's that there are really uneven character studies in Game of Thrones, and in particular, it's lapses of time where it doesn't necessarily feel like it's clever writing. It just feels like we didn't know what to do with this, and so one of them is Bran, for instance. Bran disappears for a while. That one's
a
not
whole
as
season.
bad for me, but Rickon is the worst one.
Yeah,
it's true.
Because Rickon is almost no one in the whole show.
Yeah.
He just
he's
comes
a
back
white
He
to be,
dude.
like,
disappears in
emotional
season
bait.
3.
Yeah, yeah.
And then he comes back in season 6 for the Battle of the Bastards.
Exactly.
Right?
So
Just in ropes.
it just frustrates me when there's a character who could have been in the show for some kind of reason and they just take him out. It just seems really uneven, especially considering that the rest of Game of Thrones is so methodically planned. Just to have some characters written off for a while, I think it's just kind of lazy. The other
Well,
one
it's
too,
like the thing is, he was the youngest son in the family, and nobody cares about the youngest son. What's up, John? I hope you're listening.
It's his Mongoloid brother.
wow. The other one though is and I can't remember his first name. I always forget it, but it's the bastard Baratheon, the one who's traveling with
Gendry.
Arya. Gendry. There we go.
Now he's a big part of it.
Now he is, but it was just like, hey, through 3 seasons, Gendry's on a boat or whatever.
Just rowing away.
We don't need to know what he's doing. We don't need to know any of this. Oh, hey, he's back, and now he's gonna be a pivotal part of the story.
Oh,
It's-
wow. He looks more like a man now.
It's the equivalent of Marvel doing like 20 movies, getting up to this Thanos fight, and then being like, you know what? We're going to bring in Captain Marvel to save the day. Because the heroes that we've been building up this whole time, they're not going to handle it. Let's
Yeah.
just bring in this person that you don't care about, that you
now
don't even
you
know.
care about it. Yep.
And
I mean, they kind of do it cool. They do it in an awesome way with John's uncle. What's his name?
Benjen.
Benjen Stark.
Benjen, yeah, because he comes back and he's just like half White Walker. He's just been like doing that whole thing this
And
whole
there's
time.
a couple of them that I am kind of sold on. That one's really good. Also, man, I'm forgetting so many people's names right now.
But then Benjen just dies too.
Well, that's
in
true,
Season
yeah.
7.
He doesn't just die. He like kamikazes himself
Yeah.
to
For
save
no good
Jon.
reason. He could have ridden off with John.
yeah, well,
Yeah,
to,
also true.
Plot.
to wrap up storylines, I guess.
Yeah.
But the guy from the Brotherhood Without Banners,
Thoros?
Yeah, when he shows up again, that's an awesome
Or
moment.
Beric, the
Oh,
one.
Beric, sorry,
yeah.
Beric, the one who has the flaming sword.
Yeah.
When he shows up again, it's like, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah, Beric is awesome.
So some of them sell me, some of them don't. The Rickon one I think is the worst.
That's bad. It is bad.
And the one that really is going to bother me is the Gendry, because I'm sure he's going to have a lot to do.
I think
he's story.
He's like mining. No, he's not mining. He's like the smith
that
they've shown in the new previews and stuff. You know what I mean? Making all the dragon glass weapons, and I get that's like his role.
Yeah.
But yeah, exactly. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, just could have gotten some Smith. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think
his whole thing, it's Robert Baratheon's like son with Ned Stark's son fighting a new war again, and that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
That's
like a
the whole
poetic
thing.
thing to it. Yeah, and that is nice. But I mean, they could have just had him. I don't know. Join the Brotherhood of Banners.
True.
I think
Hang
a lot of it
out,
too
like-
is like
he was going to,
but
and then they sold him to the Red Witch.
Yeah,
and
that's
because
when
they were
just,
going to use his
They
blood.
literally sold him out for
Yeah,
money.
they quite literally did.
Yeah.
And I think
That's
like
rough.
a lot of it too has to deal with like, I mean, they had to write essentially season 6 and 7 with the pieces that George R.R. Martin had like played, and they just didn't have his mind like to.
And that's what I kind of think too.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like they had to put these pieces together, and I don't know, a lot of it came out kind of sloppy. But I think like they've done really well in like season 6 with like the Battle of the Bastards, and I think
Yeah,
season
that's
6
really
is
cool.
a great,
Yeah,
like,
6 is good.
great season. 7's like not bad too, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Well, what do you got next, man?
For my second least favorite. Actually, I was gonna say, okay, so we were on the topic of Battle of the Bastards. I love Battle of the Bastards as an episode. The one thing I hate about the Battle of the Bastards as it's written is Sansa shows up
Oh yeah.
at the end with the Knights of the Vale when all of the forces have been basically decimated.
It's the Two Towers moment.
Yeah. And I get it. It has cinematic value, but there's
Yeah.
literally no other logical purpose other than cinematic value that it has. It's a great episode.
Like
Like
help at the end of the battle's like cool, I guess, when like most of us are dead and we're about to die.
really important people died.
But if you would have just showed up at the beginning, that would have been even cooler.
Or just tell John.
That's the part that I
You
don't.
know what I mean? Like,
She'd send a raven to
Yeah.
him. You know what I mean?
And she was
just
there.
Didn't tell John. Yeah.
and she was there in the planning stages of it the night before.
Yeah.
And
all
she could just
tell
been
him was like, don't do what he wants you to do.
Yeah.
That's like the only advice.
That's
she
the
could
only
give
thing
him.
she tells him.
It's actually kind of hilarious because then John ends up
He just
That's
ends up
exactly
doing
what he
it.
does,
exactly
yeah.
what he wants to do.
I mean, but if your sister's telling you not to do something, that's obviously what I'm gonna do because you got to show her.
Yeah.
Wow, you get all the siblings right now.
Yeah. What's up, Vila? I hope you're listening.
She's not.
Wow, she's not. No way.
But yeah, I mean, honestly, it's just like it just plays too much into the cinematic value rather than the logical,
Yeah.
cold, calculated way that Game of Thrones kind of worked before.
Yeah.
You know, everything was really thought out and things kind of worked. But it's like if you're in the planning stages of it, she could have just like said, "Hey, I've got the Knights of the Vale ready to go. We can create a diversion, and then these guys are just gonna come in and just kill them all from the back or something." You know
Yeah.
what I mean? There was plenty of Knights of the Vale to like take it up, but I mean that's my beef with it for sure.
I can see that.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Agreed. Agreed. Wholeheartedly. I didn't think of that one. That's really good. Franklin, what's next for you?
My second least favorite moment in Game of Thrones is going to be when Daenerys locks her dragons away.
Yes.
Just because it's like so hard to
So
watch, and it's
sad.
also like really frustrating the logic behind like that just tiny little arc of in the arc. Because like as a pet owner, it's just hard to like watch her like lock them away. You feel for her, you know what I mean? It's really hard for her.
Yeah.
And I understand sometimes you gotta like lock a pet up, you know what I mean? They're her babies. You gotta lock them away. They're dangerous dragons. But then she just like doesn't visit them.
Doesn't do anything.
Until like the
They're
time
big.
it takes between
Yeah.
this episode is season 4, episode 10, the last
Yeah.
one
Oh
in
my
season
gosh,
4.
they don't get out till
and she
season
doesn't even go to visit them until the time between that episode and the time between the first episode of season 5. And then she's all shocked that they're like super angry. They've been locked away in this whole time.
And then after that, she does the same thing.
Yeah.
And it's not until Tyrion unlocks them, and then they break through the wall.
Yeah, they could have just
So,
done that
yeah.
anyway. But then also there's that whole thing in the mythology where it's like dragons became when they were like domesticated, they became weak and then they became
Yeah.
small little puppy things.
Like
You know
you're
what I
gonna
mean?
need these things to take over the world. They need to be out there killing. Like it happens, but you're like Daenerys Stormborn. You can't make a dynasty omelet without
Yeah.
breaking some unfortunate baby shepherd eggs.
No, I agree.
Wow.
I agree. And then
Theon
you think
would agree.
about like you got to think about like the logistics of it too. Like what you're saying, it's like things are gonna happen that are wrong. Like even now she's created a void in the east by leaving to Westeros.
Yeah.
So like the cities she's like conquered already. I mean, the
It's
only
gonna be
ones.
mayhem.
Yeah, the only ones that are there are Dario, and she left
Because everybody who's like truly loyal, like, are like in her army, you
Or
know what
with
I mean?
her,
They all
yeah.
went with her.
Yeah.
And then it's also like, I mean, the second sons are taking care of it, and she probably left a couple of Unsullied there. But I mean, like the Sons of the Harpy weren't completely dismantled. She only killed a couple of like the big masters, and that's
Yeah.
it. You know what I mean?
Really, that part really doesn't make sense.
Doesn't
to me
make
either.
sense at all.
Yeah, and then also Drogon's just like she wasn't planning on locking him up, or
He was
gone.
he was-
but when she
yeah.
saw him again, like that wasn't her thought when she got back. Oh, now I need to lock him up.
No.
And just to interject with the thought I just had now for the very first time, not anything to do with like our list really, but I think the reason that Daenerys's army is so strong is because she's stacked like an adventure game. You know what I mean? She doesn't just have the one fighting style like under her
that's true.
belt.
That's true.
She's got like a really well balanced team. She's got the
Yeah.
Dothraki Screamers. She's got the what are the
Unsullied.
Soldiers of Fortune? Well, yeah, the Unsullied, but
Oh,
the
Second Sons.
the Second Sons.
yeah.
Yeah, there's just all these different fighting
Yeah.
styles.
That's
and then,
true.
Presumably now the North and
Yeah.
the Free Folk.
Now the North
Yes, dude.
So-
And the Free Folk are
and
just
the
like,
Iron. Well, not the
uh,
Ironborn. Some Ironborn.
What am I
Yeah.
thinking? They're just like blitzkriegers, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
just like full-on bashers.
And the
It's a beautiful
Dothraki,
thing.
like they don't
She's
really
stacked, man.
they don't talk too much about the numbers of the Dothraki, but like Khal Drogo had like 100,000 Dothraki.
I mean, in the episode where she like bombards Jaime and the grain shipments, like
Yeah.
when you hear the thunder, like of the
Yeah.
Dothraki coming,
Yeah,
ooh,
there's so many.
ooh.
Yeah.
I love the sound design in Game of Thrones.
I
They
do
do like
too.
such a
Really
good
good.
job.
It,
And also a great score too.
Yeah.
Like the
Ramen
theme is
Gelati.
so
it's amazing.
powerful.
All of their
Yeah,
themes
it's
are
great.
really good.
It's
Yeah,
really good. Well, my next one is, and I'm gonna kind of I've in my heart I just changed my number one. I was like, oh, I forgot about that.
Pulled
That
a
was
Frank.
awful. So I'm
pulled
gonna
a
kind of
Frank.
lump my two together.
Oh,
My number two is unqualified actors in Game of Thrones
Ooh,
because
it's just
like
like
Ed
ooh.
Sheeran,
Shay.
like
Okay.
Ed Sheeran, maybe.
The Ed Sheeran one takes me out of the experience.
Yes.
But I don't even mind his performance that much.
Yeah.
It's just that I know that he's Ed Sheeran.
I hate the shot too because it's so like
It's like look
I'm
who's
Ed
here.
Sheeran. Hey, let me sing you a song.
I'm Ed Sheeran.
I'm here. But who I was talking about in particular, so there's a lot of adult film actresses who are in Game of Thrones specifically to play ladies of the evening.
I mean, to show their
Roz.
parts.
Yes, exactly.
That's
so
who you gotta hire to show
Roz,
their parts.
but
Roz
Roz
is
I think,
gorgeous.
is
I don't
an-
know if she actually is.
I think she's an actress.
Yeah.
She's too
She's
good.
just gorgeous.
But like Shay, for instance,
Shay is.
is a really bad actress. And after you told me before I started watching this again, all the scenes with Shay are like really rough.
And you know, I was thinking about like all the interactions between Sansa and Shay because I hate all that because just Sansa
just
sucks so bad.
Yeah,
and the
Sansa's
other
the
half
worst.
is that
She's
Shay
insufferable, man.
isn't great.
Yeah, she really isn't.
They really aren't.
The other one too, and this one's not as big a deal because he really only has dialogue for one episode, but is the current version of the Mountain when he gets recast.
Oh.
He has some line that's like laughably bad, and then the next episode he's dead. And he becomes a zombie. You know what I mean? So they kind of did a smart thing there. They just needed the giant, huge guy.
Yeah.
But just those couple lines of dialogue, I was like, what are they doing? And I read online that he's not an actor. Like, they got him because of his size. Like,
Yeah, he's a power lifter.
yeah, he's a power lifter.
yeah.
So it makes sense. And it also makes sense why he doesn't act very well.
And he's Icelandic, I think. I don't think he speaks English or anything.
I don't think he does either.
No.
The other three.
Oh yeah, I was telling you about that thing where he's like from this village in
Yeah,
Iceland
and they're all
where
like
there's just
that,
a
right?
bunch of them who are just giants like that, man.
Jeez.
They I think it was a Vice special where they like go and interview him and they go to the gym where he works out and it's just like, oh my god, look at all these men,
just
dude.
giants
Like
there.
if they were really
Weird.
angry, they could do whatever they wanted, man.
Yeah, that's scary. You think Iceland would have a better like Olympic showing or something? Maybe they do. Maybe I'm being rude. I don't know. The other people I'm just gonna toss in here, and this was originally my number one, the Sand Snakes.
That was
Yeah.
on me here too.
Oh, okay. The Sand Snakes
I
are
was
so
thinking about
annoying.
them today too.
Not
I
only
hate
are the
them, man.
characters lame,
The actresses.
the actresses are bad. I don't even think they're adult film actresses. I think they're just bad.
No, I mean they're pretty, and I
You
can
don't
see
have
the
to be
part
important
thing.
to be a
Yeah.
bad actress.
I guess that's
Yeah.
true. But I mean, it's just like because of the way everything else went in that show.
Acting is so bad with them, man.
And it's so annoying because the rest of the acting is so good.
Yeah.
Their acting is as bad as their characters' fighting skills are.
Yeah. The Sand Snakes are a whole nother thing.
I
but-
think
They
it's
just pick on the
particularly
weak.
in season 7 when it's like, okay, so they're on the ship, on the Greyjoy ships, and they're getting ready to go. Blah blah blah. Gosh, I don't know. It's when they get captured by Euron. It's like right before they get captured by Euron. But they just have this really just like cringy dialogue moment where they're talking about. One of them is like the mama's favorite, and they're just going like "mama, mama," blah, and there's just it's just like their accents are terrible.
Yeah,
like it's really bad acting. It's terrible.
I don't like them.
And then they're supposed to be like super unbeatable or something, and they get beat in every scene you see them.
They only beat their crippled uncle.
Yeah.
Their their cousin who they really just like snuck around and stabbed him in the back of the face. You know what I mean? We don't know how
they didn't even have a fair fight with him. Yeah.
And then that dude who's buried in the sand. Every
time you see them kill someone, it's with like someone who's incapacitated in some sort.
Wow, the sand snakes! What a force to be reckoned with.
And then the one fight that they have a real fight in, like Euron kills them.
They get destroyed. Yeah,
destroyed and or captured.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, so I'm glad I had that on here. I just didn't choose the sand snakes, but they are a very cringy part of the series.
So what's your top one?
I think. Okay, so I had a tough time with this one because it's like I could see again the cinematic value of it, but there was no real logical purpose of it. It's in season 7, and it's essentially it's like the build up that happens I think from episode 2 to episode 7, which is Arya and Sansa bickering and conspiring against each other in the whole like. They don't trust each other because of what Littlefinger's like the game that Littlefinger's playing.
They're
between
playing
them
a
two.
game on Littlefinger.
Yeah, but somehow they're playing a game on it, and somehow he doesn't know. They just made Littlefinger too stupid in the last season.
Well, I
for
think
sure.
I was thinking about that as well because it's just it's towards the end. I just finished my rewatch. You know what I mean? So that seems to like fresh in my mind.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about it. I wanted to be pissed about it, but that's the only way you could. Like actually get Littlefinger is to make him think that he's still in control over everything. That's the only way he would have showed up to that hall that day. If he had the slightest inkling that something was going on, gone in the wind. You know what I mean? Never see Littlefinger again. He's so like slimy. That was the only way to get him.
They really had to act it out.
Yeah.
And I totally understand that. It's just like there was a big discussion going on when the season was going on. I was like, is this real? Like, what are they doing? And I understand it, but it's like Littlefinger is like a genius. Like he's like an evil genius, and he's like the whole reason the War of the Five Kings starts in the beginning of the show. It's
true.
And it's like
true.
It's just like he's like a master schemer, you know what I mean? But like I just feel like the writing for him really dumbed down in the last
because Littlefinger is just like this nobody dude, and his whole thing is he wants to be on top.
He's top, yeah.
And there's no reason for him to be on top, so his whole plan is for everyone else to die. You know what I mean? He was just like, everybody fight.
Yeah. I can't really comment because I haven't gotten through season 7 again. Like I remember watching it when it came out, which wasn't that well. I mean, it wasn't
about 2
a while
years
ago now because they took such a big break.
It's been so long.
But yeah, I'll have to. I'll catch up with you two in person once I finish season 7 again.
I don't think it was bad, but I just think it was like it could have been handled better, in my opinion.
I think that's fair. What do you think, Franklin? What do you have for us?
You know, I got strong opinions, David. Strong opinions is what I do.
Hot
Everybody
takes.
knows that. And while I unlock my phone, I'll
hot
keep
takes
vamping.
Apodaca.
So my number one pick, and just honorable mention, since you've already talked about the Battle of the Bastards, there's no reason Jon should have made it through that. Jon should have been dead in the Battle of the
Lord
Bastards.
of the Light.
You know what I mean, there's so many. Yeah, Lord of the Light. I guess.
Lord of the Light
Lord
willed
of
it. Yeah.
My number one, and this is another like logic thing, is when Sam doesn't get picked for the team of White Walkers. With the first time he sees
in season 2.
And he hides behind the rock, and one of the
Dude.
generals is just right there looking at him.
Yeah.
Like, what? You're telling me the whole reason this didn't happen is because even the White Walker looked at this guy and he was like, no, he's so pathetic. I don't want this guy in my army.
It's
no
possible.
No, just another body to throw
It's
at the
possible.
army.
Yeah.
Kill all humans.
It was straight up like a classic just horror movie
Yeah,
thing.
like I love Sam. He's around.
Yeah.
Like, that's awesome. There's no reason he should have made it
No,
through
it's
that.
so lame. It's such a movie moment.
Yeah.
One thing I can say in conjunction to that, right? Is that the right word?
I think so.
I think
Conjunction,
the correct is conjunction.
Conjunction.
Conjunction with that,
functions.
right? Okay, so with it, but also like perpendicular to it.
Ooh.
In
Welcome
the first,
to the Geometry Podcast. We did a geometry.
I love geometry.
Good thing it's not an English podcast.
No, that would be we did it English.
We did an English.
We
No, we
have-
did
English.
We have produced an English podcast.
What I'll say is in season 1, in episode 1, in the first episode of the series, the White Walkers definitely have more poise to them than we let on, because they do let someone go. The White Walkers kill someone in front of that deserter, and then they throw the head at him, and it's basically like, go tell them that we're coming.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that happens.
That's true in like the very first scene, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it happens a couple times where they're just like, they let people go.
That's a very good point, Danny.
I guess that is a good point.
You know what I mean? They know that they're going to come, and they have a force that's like, that's like to be reckoned with.
Man, they should call you Danny Good Points.
Two hands still survives.
Wow. Well, I agreed with you, but now that I'm thinking about what Danny's saying, yeah, maybe it could have been like a send a message to the other crows.
Yeah, I think Danny just changed my mind a little bit on that.
I think there's
just seeing it for the first time. I was so frustrated. Like, come on,
I agree though.
Come on,
because you would think it's unbelievable because they'd kill anyone.
True.
I'm just curious to see how they wrap up the White Walker thing. I hope we get a little more information about their backstory and
I feel like there's
their meaning.
The White Walkers win, and then they fade to black to "I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas."
Wow.
Just really ruin the ending.
Hopefully with less blackface.
That's how Game of Thrones ends.
I just feel like it's gonna be something crazy. Like, I feel like it's gonna be like Bran's connected to the Night King somehow. Blah blah blah. He's gonna rewrite time. I feel like the only reason they're coming south is because they need Bran, or they want Bran or something. But
I think they just want to kill everything. I don't know. We'll see. We'll find out soon.
Who knows?
My number one worst moment of Game of Thrones is the Jon Snow cliffhanger.
Oh yeah,
with the angel wing blood.
Yeah, it's so
and all the internet conversation.
So lame. Like, even when we were watching that
I remember
episode
you being
as it came
like
out,
mad about it.
It was like Melisandre just shows up. Oh, they stabbed Jon. And then everyone's like, no, I can't believe they killed Jon Snow. If anything, this is more the moment in like pop culture than the moment in the show.
Yeah.
But everyone was just so frantic. I can't believe Jon Snow's dead. I'm like, everyone, Jon Snow is not dead. What, you think Spider-Man's dead?
I remember you telling everyone too. Yeah. You went on like a countrywide tour.
Yeah, I did.
Just like hitchhiking. Jon Snow's not dead.
27 cities.
Yeah, true.
Bring in the word. And the other thing too is it happened the same season of Walking Dead.
That's
when
what I was
they
gonna
pulled
say.
that
It's like a
fake
Glenn
death when he was under the dumpster.
That was a cringe too.
And that one was bad also. And it was also like, there's no way this guy's dead.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, until he died a little bit.
Yeah.
The Jon Snow one, it bothers me so much.
What I can say is, yes, that was a cringe. What I can offer credence to that is that is also how the 5th book ends.
Oh, that's even worse. Yeah.
George R. R. Martin also wrote that.
Yeah.
Ugh. So we still don't know if Jon Snow's alive.
I mean, we do know he's alive.
I mean,
Jon Snow's alive. He was never dead. That's the whole point. Like, you have a cliffhanger. Like, it's like, okay, who are we gonna follow with the wall? Sam.
Yeah.
Now this is Sam's story.
No, Dolorous Ed.
Yeah.
That's who we're after.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. It's dumb.
Anyway, so
but you know what? That also happens again in season 7 with Jaime. The episode ends in the spoils of war with Jaime like drifting off into the water after he's, you know what I mean? And everyone's like, okay, what, is Jaime dead?
Yeah. I can see what you're saying.
And so, like, in that thing where Bronn saves him,
Yeah.
what, he just swam all the way to the bottom of this lake? Because
they
they wash up way on the other side of this thing, you know what I mean, in the next episode?
that's
right.
So what, he
deep was
just
this
grabbed
thing?
him and just, like, hopped on the ground with all his armor and all
still
of
had
his
his
swords
armor.
to the other side of the
Yeah.
lake?
Does not make sense.
Both of these guys are just
weird.
mermen.
Does not make sense.
They could be mermen. We'll have to find out in season 8. I'm not throwing it out.
I want to see the gills. Show me your gills.
Show me the gills.
That's
the
why
gill
you pay
mills.
for HBO money, so you can see the gills. Well, why don't you start us off with our favorite
Well, you
moment?
know,
Aussies
before the
now.
favorites, I think we need to pause really quick for some brief technical difficulties.
Oh, okay.
And we will be right back.
Is it a PP?
It is a
PP.
PP. It is a PP.
Man, we haven't been able to hit the hold music in a long time.
We're back.
Wow, yes we are. All right, well, why don't you get us started with the best moments of Game of Thrones?
Welcome back to those of you that are still here. We
Yes, we did a podcast where professionalism reigns supreme
Yes.
100% of the time.
Here we are. So let's start with my least favorite of the favorites moments.
That's the cleanest you've ever said that.
Yeah, I really was. We're doing a good job this episode.
Yeah, you hit it really well, too.
Yeah, you really
Thank you.
did. You
Yeah.
clarified it well. So I'm gonna go with a very pivotal moment in the series. that what we were just talking about too is like the writers totally made this moment up because it does not happen at all in the books. Winds of Winter.
Writers will do that sometimes.
Yeah. The season 6, episode 10, The Winds of Winter, the beginning of that, which is the finale of season 6, which is where it has the beautiful piano opening, and it has Cersei getting all ready.
Oh yeah.
And
yes.
You have the High Sparrow, you have Marjorie, you have everyone gathered in the Sept of Baelor.
It reminds me of that meme that uses that music. Yeah, you just watch people get defeated. It's beautiful.
Yeah. It's amazing, and I mean it just plays out so well, and I think it's like 15 minutes of like the first of the episode. And it just builds. It's like you see Tommen and you see everyone getting ready, and you're just like, okay, I guess Cersei's going to her trial.
Yeah.
And then you see all these like little facts pick up, and you see Loras finally like accept his trial, and he gets like the whole Faith of the Seven thing like cut into his forehead, which sucks because it happens right before he dies.
That's true.
And then you see Lancel, which like we've all wanted revenge on for a long time, and he gets cut by a little bird in the Sept of Baelor at the bottom, and you see the wildfire, and it just blows up. Everyone's dead. Everyone's dead, and then you see Cersei, and and it's funny that the moment Tommen's like getting ready, and he's like, "I'm ready to go." Yep. He goes outside, and like the mountain's just standing right there, and he's like, "Nope, you're not going anywhere," and you're just like, "This is happening."
Yes,
she's killing them all.
Yes, that is a really like satisfying scene. Even though like Cersei's the worst, she's the best at being the worst.
Yeah,
and that's one of her best moves, man.
And like arguably, House Tyrell probably could have done a lot of good for the realm.
Oh yeah,
you know what I
mean? They were all like pretty good people.
They're good people. They just wanted to be rich. They wanted to be stinking rich.
And now they're all gone.
Now they're dead.
The whole house is gone.
Wiped off of the face of the earth.
Done.
So that's one of my favorites because I think that's not only is it the most unique cold opening the show ever has, it's just like a beautiful piece of
it is great
of cinematography.
Great pick.
Thank you.
Good job, Danny.
Thank you.
Franklin.
So my number 3 for my T3s.
Hey.
The final days of Theon's occupation of Winterfell. Season 2, episode 10.
I do love
this. Oh my god. It's when Theon's holding Winterfell, you know what I mean? And he's pretended to kill like the Stark boys.
Yeah.
And in those final days, it's like him up in his room at night with Grand Meister Lewin. With Meister Lewin. And he's trying to talk sense into him. And he's like super frustrated. He knows everything. He's like, he finally opens up about his experience of like growing up with his captors and like everybody telling him they're like the best and this whole conflict, which is like a really beautiful, compelling argument. And this whole time there's this dude outside the walls just blowing on this horn, man. And the guy, like you can tell he's trying to be like as annoying as possible. You know that had to be so much fun to record. And
I swear I'll kill that man.
Theon's just losing it the whole time. The next morning, he gives this like admittedly awesome speech, which is like the whole gag of the scene. And he's just like rallying these boys, and then they knock him out and betray him. And the guy's like, "Well, it was a good speech. I didn't want to interrupt him."
I love that.
But even in that speech, he's like, "And whoever kills that goddamn man with the horn out there, like you will live forever." It's just so good. It's so funny. It's a really good like couple of scenes there.
That's good because mine's kind of like segues off that. I think there's a lot of scenes in Game of Thrones that they wrote like comedy scenes.
Yeah. There's some really good comedy. I really hope you're talking about the Dothraki thing.
Oh, I'm not. Which
I love that
Dothraki
part.
one are you talking about?
I'm talking about the Dothraki one that we watched the other night when they captured Daenerys in the field.
It's
and
like
they come back and he's talking about about seeing a woman naked for the first time is like the best thing in the world.
Oh, and then he's like, "Oh, well, no, there's raiding a village. There's stealing,
breaking a horse in,
breaking in a wild horse. All right, it's among the 5 greatest things in life.
It seems like a Seth Rogen movie or something.
It's amazing. Their comedy timing is just
the one I was talking about is when Lord Edmure is trying to light the boat on fire.
Oh my god, I
of
love
Lord Tully,
that.
and he just keeps missing the arrow. It's so hilarious.
Everyone's quiet.
Yeah, everyone's quiet.
And that's why you got locked away as a slave for years and years.
The blackfish just comes up.
Yeah, it comes up. Doesn't even like wait. He just
Rob's there like trying not to laugh. You know what I mean?
There's some great stuff like that, and I think like Game of Thrones could have gotten away with being just totally serious the whole time.
Yeah, 100%.
It doesn't need any of that comedy, but those moments that it just like flips it on its head a little bit.
And it manages not to take you out of it like all the way. You know what I mean? It's good stuff.
And it really is. And Edmure is such a putz. Like, it just in the whole story, like there's that whole moment in Robb's War where he goes against Robb's plans, and then he like kidnaps like 2 small Lannister kids, and they happen to be like the nephews or something. And he's just like, "Do you really think that Tywin's gonna care that you like kidnapped his second cousins or something like that?"
Which ends up being a huge thing because they end up killing them.
They kill Lord
Karstarks.
Yeah, Lord
and
Karstarks
then he kills the Karstarks, and then they betray them. Like,
and it just all really falls apart.
Yeah, that one dumb decision.
Lord Edmure is the George Costanza. Is what the problem is. Like, after all his fumbles, you can just hear.
That's
it's
great.
So true. That's a great moment, though.
Yeah.
I love that.
That really cracks me up. Yeah. What do you got?
Well, okay, so like my second one, it's a little more serious, but it's a really good moment, and it's really well translated from the books. Having read it, it's the Chaos's ladder speech between Littlefinger and Varys in the throne room, because you get to see these 2 people. Which this is season 3, episode 6, The Climb. And it's named after that essential speech, which is Littlefinger saying chaos is not a ladder. Chaos is a pit. Mm-hmm. No, chaos is not a pit. It's a ladder. And, you keep trying to climb the rungs and all this stuff keeps spurning off of it. But I just think it's amazing because you see these 2 massive characters who are essentially background characters, but are actually the whole devisers of the entire war and the whole entire story. Like, Varys and Illyrio Mopatis are like the people that are actually making things happen. In the side, they're working with Viserys and Daenerys, and at the same time, they're double agenting with Robert Baratheon to like assassinate Daenerys. And it's just, it's really crazy. And then you have Littlefinger, who essentially started the whole war with like the whole dagger thing and sending the cutthroat to kill Bran. And he just, it's just an amazing. It like really captures the moments of Game of Thrones that are like the very intense political discussions.
Yeah,
which don't really happen as much in the later seasons. I feel like
no. Well, I think
by the
first
time the later seasons come around, it's like things are on fire.
It's all falling.
It's time to go.
Just falling down. And the build up, the whole political build up is amazing. Like, honestly, it's like Varys, Littlefinger, Tyrion, and Lady Olenna. And like the way they work with like the political innings, and even Tywin Lannister, like, are just, it's incredible. Like, it's got a very like, before the show was weird, it's got a very like House of Cards moment. You know what I mean? It's got like a House of Cards feel, without the whole Kevin Spacey thing.
Wow.
Eesh.
And dragons and boobs.
Wowza. Well, that actually segues really nice into my number 2, because it has to do with like the politics and like the power struggle in general. You know what I mean? One of my favorite moments in Game of Thrones. Let me get that burp out of there real quick.
Get it.
Is when you see the power struggle of the realm play out in the small council meeting when Tywin like first comes back and takes over as hand to the king. They go to this small council meeting. Tywin walks in first and he sits down at a table, like right at the head, because he's a big bad boy. And Varys everybody's standing there. Varys smiles and he starts to walk towards the seat next to Tywin, and Littlefinger just cuts him off really quick.
Yeah.
So Varys has to like scurry back and make sure like he gets the second seat like closest to Tywin. Pycelle is still pretending to be like an old decrepit man, like, waddles over to the third seat. And Cersei just kind of looks at everybody and like, you idiots. Picks up a chair, puts it to the other side of the table right next to her dad, and she thinks she's won. And then Tyrion comes in, doesn't care about anybody, and just like does the slow drag of that chair and sits at the other head of the table. It's so good. I loved watching that scene for the first time. I rewatched it again today as I was thinking about it. It's so good.
Just the political moments
really
are so tasty.
Oh yeah, man.
It's like
just these like bickering children fighting for like Tywin's affection, and then Tyrion just being like, "Nah, you all suck."
That is the dynamic at the beginning for sure. That is really good. I forgot about that scene, but so much is told without words necessarily.
It's so good. It's
a small council meeting.
It's completely silent.
Meetings. Yeah. And I love that scene where like Joffrey's in the throne room and he like calls Tywin in and he's just like, "Why wasn't I invited to the small council meetings?" And he's just like, "I noticed you started putting him in the Tower of the Hands." And he's just like, "You're more than welcome to join the small council meetings. And he's just like, why are they in the Tower of the Hand? He says, it's closer to me. And he's like, because I'm old. And he's just like, you might...
we can arrange to have you carried.
Yeah, we can arrange to have you carried. It's just amazing. He's like,
that's good.
And I love, he's just like, I would just like to be counseled at the decisions of the realm. And he's just like, what if I told you were being counseled at this very moment?
Dang. Joffrey's such a... but not even the worst compared to what happens later in the show.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, seriously.
My
this
number...
is a bad seed.
Yeah, for reals, though. He's the worst one of the...
The other two are
maybe
sweet.
worse than Cersei?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the worst
yeah,
of all
he's
the
just
Lannisters.
like innately evil.
Yeah.
Like at least with Cersei, it's like a family thing. She's like nobody matters but us. But
until it
like,
just matters about her.
Yes, true.
Yeah.
Well, it's still us because
Like
it's
now.
like her and the baby. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. But I mean, before that, like in her actions with Tommen, she wasn't caring about Tommen's best interest.
She didn't care about. Well,
No.
even with Jaime,
Yeah.
I mean, she like totally threw Jaime aside once he was caught hostage. Like,
Yeah.
I love
she
when
started
when
banging
she's like pissed at him,
Lancel too, and
like
then-
for leaving her, quote unquote.
yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot
Yeah,
about
it's
that
like
part.
you got yourself captured, and he's like, I sat in a
Wow.
cell for a year and a half.
It's like what John McCain was like. Trump was talking trash about. I like my heroes not captured. John McCain's like, what? Dude,
I lost a hand,
bro. You weren't even in that war. So my number 2 is not a specific moment, but it is when we have these characters who have been developing on their own, and then we get this unlikely pairing that happens in Game of Thrones.
Love it.
And it's just always like, yes. And there's a couple that come to mind. There's Arya and the Hound,
Yes.
which make this great like father-daughter relationship. It's really cool. They learn so much from each other.
It's like a paternal odd couple.
It really is.
And I like how she doesn't try and hide at all her intentions. She's like, no, I'm totally
I'm
kill
gonna
you.
kill you at any time
Yeah.
I can.
When she's saying the prayer and
Yeah.
he's like asking her about it, she's like, "Well, I'm not done." And then she says like,
Yeah.
"The
The
hound."
Yeah. Or when she has the rock when he's sleeping and she's right above his head, he's like, I'll give you one chance. Make sure it counts.
Yeah. That's a great pairing. I also think Podrick and Brienne of Tarth is also a great one too.
Dude,
Really
Yes.
mismatched.
Because already Podrick and Tyrion were sort of mismatched, but then, you know, he treats them really well. But then when you see Podrick like actually serving someone who's a knight or has some kind of like combat role, that really makes for a good one. And then my favorite one is Tyrion and Daenerys.
Yeah.
Because they're just two awesome characters. Daenerys not as much as Tyrion, but
I would.
But I mean, even stemming from that, you get the scene when Tyrion's drinking with Grey Worm and
Missandei.
Yeah.
Missandei, yeah. And they're just trying to like, they're telling each other jokes for the first time and stuff.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
so
that one's
good.
good.
It's just, what a
I
fun
would
scene,
even
man.
say Jaime and Brienne. Like that is.
Jaime
yeah,
and Brienne.
that one's
That
a
was a
great,
good one.
that was a
Totally,
great one
like,
too.
When Brienne meets Tormund.
Oh my God!
yeah.
And Tormund's
Yes.
just like infatuated.
Yeah.
with her.
Yeah.
Have you
She's the
seen
biggest
size
woman
of,
ever.
Yeah,
That was
I want to have
hilarious.
babies with her. They'll take over the world.
And when they're beyond the wall, and
Yeah.
like the Hound is, or no, I mean, Tormund's describing Brienne to the Hound, and he's just like, "Are you talking about Brienne of Tarth?"
Yeah.
And he's just like,
Oh, you do know
Oh man, that one's great.
I will say a little bit of fun fact trivia. Podrick is actually related to Ilan Payne,
Oh really?
to Sir Ilan Payne, the really weird guy who's got his tongue
Yeah,
cut
yeah.
out. Yeah, they are cousins.
Huh.
That's really weird.
Yeah, Podrick Payne.
I wonder if he was like. Oh, you mean in the show, like the characters?
As a character.
Oh, I thought
yeah.
you meant the actors.
No,
I
not
was
the
like,
actors.
Wow,
No,
that's
no.
really strange.
Yeah.
Okay.
He died though. I think Sir Ilan Payne, the actor, died. He was like some punk rock legend or something like that.
Really?
That's really weird.
Yeah, really
He
weird.
had a really good grimace.
Yeah,
Well,
he's got that weird
That's why
face.
they cut out his dialogue.
Yeah, he said nothing.
So, what's your favorite moment, Danny? What's your best Game of Thrones moment?
It's a later season 1, which is really cool. Season 7, episode 5. And I think it's essentially my favorite episode of season 7. It's the reason why I like season 7. The Field of Fire or the Loot Train Attack. It's just the whole episode just works pacing wise so well.
It is
But
really
that,
good.
That battle where you like, and there was the moment you were talking about too. It's like where they're taking the loot train from Highgarden. They just killed the Tyrells, and they're like, Bronn's just like saying he's got the bag of gold, and they're just talking to the Tarleys and all that. And then Bronn's just like talking to Jaime, and he's just like, "Do you hear that?" And it's like the hoofs of the Dothraki on the horizon. And that's enough to make them all terrified, you know what I mean? But then Daenerys comes out of nowhere on the back. You finally see a full-size dragon in battle.
Yeah.
That is the only visual that we have with the entire show of a full-size dragon.
Well, when she burns all the ships from the Masters.
That's true.
Yeah, because I just watched that episode like yesterday.
That's like the end of season 6, I think.
Yeah, it's towards the end of 6.
When she tells them all to screw.
Yeah. And I love that, but it's like this is like
this one's like a battle,
head-on battle. Yeah. She's riding it into battle, like,
and it's like the first time Jaime realizes like how screwed they really are.
Yes, like, Jaime's like, oh my god.
Like, I think at the end of it,
we're not gonna win this thing.
Yeah, and in the next episode, he does tell her, he's like, you don't understand. There were 2 more of those things out there, and I love it. And I wish like.
Oh, and he tells her about the Dothraki. He's like, you don't understand. Like, it wasn't war for them. It was sport.
Yeah.
Like, these guys were enjoying themselves. They weren't even trying.
When they get up on the horses and they're like shooting down the guys with the arrow, it's incredible. It's incredible. The choreography of the scene in that is amazing. And there's like an HBO dissection of the scene where they show how they did it all with like the pyrotechnics of like blowing up like the grain that they had and stuff. And it's just incredible.
Wow.
And
that's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, that episode ends terribly with Jaime falling into the water and just blah, blah, blah. But it's like, that is one of my favorite episodes of all time. Because it still get chills when that whole battle starts. Just like,
that's crazy,
incredible. Like,
when they're all trying to like run into formation really quick. Oh, man.
Or the dudes just like stand in formation, they get dragon fire and they turn into ash in like a second.
That's a great effect.
And it's incredible, man. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
So that's definitely my number one. Because that's what I've wanted to see the entire series. Is a dragon in battle.
Tearing it up.
You don't even see that in Lord of the Rings. Like, there's nothing of that level. You know what I mean?
True.
Wowza. So my number one, I obviously didn't want to go too battle heavy because, I mean, there's so many awesome battles.
I also had a hard time not picking a battle.
But you got to get a battle in there. My battle might as well be number one. And it's something we've already talked about. I've even had a gripe about it, but still, the Battle of the Bastards.
It's amazing.
Season 6, episode 9. I was
going to choose that too. Yeah.
Like, my goodness. And I knew, like, I ran the risk of somebody else choosing it, but I was like, screw it. I want to talk about the Battle of the Bastards.
Yeah.
Like, so good. From start to finish, like, the battle itself, like, from the moment they show the armies to when Jon's done punching Ramsay in the face, it's 23 minutes of the episode.
Wow.
Like, consecutively.
Of one person's chapter.
Yeah, of just, like, oh, my God.
Battle. Yeah.
So it took 600 crew members, 500 extras, 70 horses, 25 stunt men and women, and 25 days with 4 camera crews to shoot the Battle of the Bastards.
Wow.
That season, they were allotted like a $10 million budget per episode to shoot it.
That's a lot.
And they pulled money from every other episode in that season to shoot the Battle of the Bastards. It is insane. Like and the whole thing is like, it's a favorite moment because it's made up of all these awesome moments, like in that whole sequence of events. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You get, we just talked about the crappy Stark. Nobody cares about him. Rickon. You see Rickon die right before Jon's right before Jon reaches him. Crazy. You see him run into battle. The whole initial impact when Jon's running at the army and the impact of the two armies running in together, the sound design in that whole battle is amazing. It really puts you like right in the middle of it.
The whole claustrophobic feeling you feel
when he's getting crushed and everybody's trying to like climb on top of bodies.
Oh my God, I still feel like.
And then even at the end of it, you finally get to see Ramsay get his comeuppance. It's just like
with the dogs.
What an awesome sequence of events! Like everything about it's so satisfying.
That scene when he like rips up the shield and Ramsay's like shooting the arrow.
Yes, dude.
Like, boom!
Yeah, Captain Americaism.
Yeah,
I believe you wanted to. You proposed the one-on-one battle. I think I've changed my mind.
It's crazy, man.
There's also a good. It's like 3 or 4 minutes of just like one shot of
that one shot of him walking through the battle.
Yeah, and people just keep coming from his side. It's like arrows coming down.
He like runs into one of his soldiers and he grabs him. And he's like, "I need you to send word," and then a horse carries him off.
Yeah,
and then the rain. You're right. The rain of arrows just keeps coming, so he has to like duck every second.
It's crazy.
Watching the bodies pile up higher and higher. Oh, man.
It is incredible, and I will say,
you have the one-on-one battle versus Tormund, and then that one dude from the Boltons.
The Umber, Small John Umber.
Yes,
yeah. It's the guy who directed that, Miguel Sapochnik. He's coming back for 2 episodes.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Give me more. This is so
good. And he's
good.
done a lot of really good ones. He's coming back for the Battle of Winterfell, episode 3. which is 80 minutes long.
Wow.
And then he's coming back for the penultimate episode of season episode 8, which I think is great because the very last episode, just like the very first episode, is directed by David Benioff and Dan Wise, like the creators, just like the first episode was.
Nice.
Yeah. It's gonna be crazy.
Ooh, that's exciting.
I'm so excited.
Well, my number one is No Battle. It is Lady Olenna's death.
Okay. Yeah. Very satisfying.
She's like one of my favorite characters
good.
on the show, just because she just like
Queen
just
Thorns.
doesn't care at all.
Yeah.
Like she's a total.
Bamf.
Yeah.
Yeah. She
exactly.
Really is.
Yeah. She doesn't care about the order or who to whatever. She's gonna do what she wants to do, but when she knows that she's gonna die, she's just like takes relish in the fact like, but you know what, I killed Joffrey, it was me. I was like, oh.
And she knows Jaime's not the kind of guy to just slice her head off too.
Oh,
That's
no,
what I
no,
love.
no.
He's just like, is that the poison?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
I just love that moment, man. It's just so great. I love that they've kind of like wrapped this whole thing up, and then also the implication of it too.
Yes.
To let Cersei know, like, all that stuff you did, it was me the whole time, and I was just right there.
Yep. And I let it all play out.
Yeah.
Just eating at your table.
And it's so
It's great.
It's so incredible, and she really does like make that scene too.
Yeah, she does. She's awesome.
She like lets it happen. She's like, I took the poison, but just know.
Just know.
Like I killed him.
It was me.
Or like and I think she like even points out his sword that he's carrying, Jaime. She's just like, is that Joffrey's sword?
Yeah.
And he's like, what did he call it? And he's like, Widow's Wail. And he's like, God, he was such a, you know what I mean?
Really
Yeah. God, it's incredible. And yeah.
And it's coming to an end. We'll have to see what happens. God. Well, it is Peeps and Predicts time.
Can we just talk about Game of Thrones for like another 45 minutes to an hour?
Good.
If the fates allow it.
Ooh.
Although I don't think there's any Game of Thrones characters in here. But who knows? I don't know. Danny, would you like to do us the honor of getting our peep today?
Let's do it.
Gotta really reach in there.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if my fingers...
You might want to pour it out. Get the
There we
sausage
go.
fingers.
I know.
Sausage links.
Okay, this is
You were
getting
having
harder.
a tough time.
There we go.
I mean,
Welcome to
look,
Danny
they're all
Gets His
folded.
Fingers Caught in a Jar.
For the peeps, we have...
Oh my god. Okay.
I'm pretty excited.
What a great peep. Wow. Fat Val Kilmer versus Fat Axl Rose.
Yes. Oh my god, this is one of my original
this is a
peeps.
classic.
Like when we started
Yes.
doing
Like,
this and we first like wrote down on a piece
incredible.
of paper, this is one of my first ones.
Yeah, this has been years.
Well, it's funny because he's still fat. Both of these are still fat. Like,
All right, I'll get the first predict here. So, these two gentlemen of varying size.
what is it?
I'm assuming that this was written by Frank in the hopes to get Batman out, but it is, who is better at having two living biological parents?
Wow, yeah, that was
Well, I guess we're
definitely
gonna
a
have to
Frank
look this
suggestion
up.
Perfect
too.
timing on that one.
Yeah.
Are we? This is so grim. Are we just gonna?
I'm
figure out
looking
if
it up
parents
right
are
now.
dead?
I mean, I will say that if you guys want to amend this one out of here and boot it out,
No.
since it's
It's the will of the jar.
the will of the jar, it's what the jar wants.
Let's see if they're still alive. Okay, this is gonna take.
I like that you
some
immediately
research.
hopped on the research to see if either one of these celebrities had dead
I
parents.
feel like
Had to
both of their
know.
parents are probably
might be.
dead. They're older
Could be.
guys. I will just throw in while Danny's looking this up. Given the implication of this and what it was designed to do, we do have to point out that Val Kilmer played Batman.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A very bad
Just saying.
one.
Yeah.
I love that meme of Val Kilmer like sitting outside at that like patio at a restaurant. He's just looking around smiling and he's all fat and it's just like, hey guys, remember when I was Batman?
I haven't seen that one.
It's
So it
good.
does say on his Wikipedia
Pop that in there. In the
that
edit.
his father died in 1993.
Val Kilmer?
Yes,
Wow.
Val Kilmer. So
He was doing research for a role.
okay, W. Axl Rose. Axl Rose's real name is William Bruce Rose Jr.
So Rose is really his middle name?
No, he was raised as William Bruce Bailey.
Weird.
Wow,
That is weird.
he's a Bill. That's weird.
Bill Rose.
Old Bill Michelle Rose. Bill Powell.
He was born Bill Rose Jr., William Bruce Rose Jr. in Indiana.
Indiana.
Let's see. Then 16 years old. Gosh, I got to see if they died. Why isn't there a dead parent section of Wikipedia?
Yeah, just one of the tabs. Parents dead? Yes or
no? I'm just, while Danny's still looking up, I'm really pulling for Val Kilmer, though. We now know that his dad was dead at least in his 20s or 30s. Maybe he... No, I'm not gonna
oh my god, I was so excited to just know.
His dad was dead in 93,
know what you cringed away from there.
I'm going to ask you about it later.
I have to know.
About his parents being dead.
I mean, I feel like Val Kilmer's got it on two fronts then. He's really missing a parent, at least one. And he played the most famous orphan of all time.
No, but that means he loses. Because it's who's better at having two living parents.
Well, then Axl Rose.
Oh, man.
Welcome to the jungle,
Rose.
Baby.
All right.
Your parents are going to die.
Why don't you get this other predict out of here? Can I see the paper? I'm just going to put it in this little book here.
All right. And is Batman really more famous than Annie, or what's the other one? Please say
I was going to have a little joke. I was going to be like, the most famous orphan. Oh, and he also played Batman.
Who is more notorious? I feel like that's easy Axl Rose.
Yeah,
like even before getting into this, he's notoriously like a jerk. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't show up for concerts. He's just like causing a scene.
Wow, especially now.
Yeah.
You know
this
what I
is
mean?
such an easy peeps and predicts, I feel like, everyone.
Wow. Yeah, that one. As soon as I saw it, I was like, wow, Axl Rose again with the sweep.
Man. All right.
Imagine
easy.
Axl Rose beats Bernie Sanders after only 1 week, like one episode. Like Bernie Sanders' reign is just an episode.
Oh, that's right. He's a winning champ right now.
He's a winning champ.
Why don't you pull this thing out for us, Danny?
Current champion of
this is our predicts. Okay.
Yeah.
Just got get these out here.
Yeah, get in there.
I think that's one.
Make it a good.
Let's see what we got for a predicament.
Uh-oh. Do you need some help? Let me see. I've written most of them.
I mean, I can read the first part of it. Who could pull off a mink coat?
Yeah, who could pull off a mink fur coat better?
Something obviously. And I don't know what that means.
Better, obviously.
Oh, better. Who could pull off a mink coat better?
Yeah. Bernie Sanders or Axl Rose? Now, this is really hilarious.
I feel like you'd be more likely to spot Axl Rose.
I was going to say, I feel like there are pictures of him in a mink coat.
But are we talking skinny Axl Rose?
Ooh. Or fat Axl Rose? True, because it is who we're talking about currently.
Well, let's see how many
the
Google
swollen
images
version of Axl Rose.
Yeah, put it Axl Rose fur coat, and we'll see what shows up. I don't think Bernie would even have a fur coat.
He's not like that.
Because, that's too bourgeois.
It's funny. Guns N' Roses came back with Buckethead, a man who wears a bucket of chicken on his head, and Axl Rose came back with a bucket of chicken in his hand. So yeah.
Although I would say that in Vermont in the winter, if Bernie had like a Jon Snow style fur coat, you know what I mean, like cape action going on,
but also like a fur hat.
He'd be like, healthcare's coming.
Like a Bears football coach in like the 70s. Just looking super swanky.
Guys, I will say there's at least 6 different pictures on here with him some kind of fur on.
Okay, are we saying skinny Axl Rose?
Are any of those pictures fat?
No.
Because if fat Axl Rose is in a mink coat, I bet he's going to be real sweaty.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he can wear a fur coat anymore.
And this is just me for the sake of debating on Bernie's side, but I'm just going to say, if Axl Rose used to wear fur, but now that he's fat Axl Rose does not wear fur, he himself is
admitting that he can't pull it off.
That he can't pull it off. Axl Rose.
Yeah. I think he's called Faxel Rose.
Bernie just doesn't do it because he's a man of the people. You know what I mean? He's not about all that lavish lifestyle.
Yeah, it's true.
He's just wearing sensible clothing.
All of these are skinny
to get business
sexy
done.
Faxel Rose.
But if he were to wear a mink coat, but it look pretty adorable.
Wait, I think there's one fat Axl Rose.
Ooh, let's see here.
Coat picture right here.
I'm super stoked.
Look at this fat guy.
Welcome to Look at This Fat Guy.
Compared to,
Ooh, that's nice. Now, for posterity, can we search Bernie Sanders?
For posterity?
Just for posterity.
Just to be a reliable news source.
Yeah. We're gonna check both sides of the sources, everybody. Both sides of the facts.
So you're gonna get here unbiased.
Like some of those other podcasts out there. Apollo City Comics. No, I'm just joking.
No.
Shout out.
There's just him in a winter coat, but it's not fur.
Okay, now here's what I need you all to imagine. I need you to imagine that meme of Ned Stark that says winter is coming. You know what I mean? But just replace Ned Stark's head with Bernie Sanders. You tell me that's not pulling that off.
Global warming is coming.
He who passes the sentence should swing the sword.
This is a great meme possibility in here.
Get on it, David.
Global warming is coming.
Meme department, print it out.
Someone already has it. Oh, literally.
Oh my god!
As you were speaking.
Can you save that?
Oh my.
Yeah, we're gonna have to throw that in.
We have to throw this in here. Okay, shout out to whoever this is.
And I gotta say, he's pulling it off.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right?
He looks a little bit like one of the buzzards from The Lion King, but he's still pulling it off.
All right, my vote's for Bernie Sanders.
This is incredible.
I don't know where you guys stand.
I'm voting for Bernie Sanders, obviously, for the second time.
If people disagree, I'll tell you what, I'm going to put up both those pictures. Fat Axl Rose in a fur coat and this Bernie hailing from Winterfell. You tell me.
This is just incredible.
Don't be dishonest to yourself. Be honest. Be truthful.
Truth.
Oh my goodness.
Well, do you have anything else you want to add in, Danny? How do you feel about this?
He pulls it off. It looks good.
Okay, well.
I mean,
I gotta say, he looks real good.
You know what I mean?
Bernie
Axl
Sanders, win number 2. Good job.
I'm excited where this could possibly lead. Well, everybody,
To the White House, hopefully.
We've come to a long and winding road. Thank you, Danny. Just like Game of Thrones, it's coming to an end, except this one's right now. Not another 6 weeks.
First
with
episode
way
of last season.
smaller of a budget.
This Sunday.
Considerably smaller budget.
I hope it's not a disappointing season. Really hope it's not.
We'll get back to you this
I
month
got
with
high hopes.
more Game of Thrones content, and we'll let you know what we're thinking.
Yeah.
Well, peace.